In this video, I'll talk about why the new Leviathan box might not be right for you. As of the publication of this video, the pre-order for the new Warhammer 40,000 10th edition launch box, Leviathan, is tomorrow. You've probably seen plenty about this new box from Games Workshop themselves, who teased it out back during Adepticon in late March. And then there was, of course, Warhammer Fest and all that kind of stuff. All the different channels who've been talking about it since, I think, sometime last week. I've frankly been unable to really talk about it much at all due to the launch of our new game, me and Vince, Snarling Badger Studios, Majestic 13. And then, of course, there was the Tabletop Minions Expo last weekend, and so it just didn't work out very well for me. But now I'm here and I want to talk about it and maybe temper your expectations. So I'm just going to jump in here to start and tell you why you might not want the Leviathan box. If you're not interested in Space Marines or Tyranids, well, that's what comes in the box. There's a bunch of Space Marines and a bunch of Tyranids. And if those are not models that you're interested in, then this box is frankly probably not for you. They're great looking models. They're all new models. There's no kind of repeats or resculpts. I mean, everything in there is a resculpt. There's Tyranids in there, obviously, they're all new. New sculpts, things like that. Terminators and all that kind of stuff on the Space Marine side, they're all new. So it's an entire box full of new sculpts. Push fit, you can just slide them together. They don't even need glue. And it does come with 2 combat patrols. So if you're into combat patrol, and I'll be talking more about that in a bit, that's great too. It also comes with a big honkin' book, right? Which I'll be talking about as well. Some water slide decals. But if you are a person who is like, I only like to play Eldar, you don't need to buy this book. Again, it seems obvious, but I always have to take into consideration that I'm generally talking to people who are maybe new to the hobby. And a lot of people, I think, feel, well, if I want to play 10th edition, I have to buy this 10th edition starter or else I won't be able to play. And that's not true. This box is for people who want the armies in it and who want the fancy book, but everything else is going to be available either free or, pretty close to right afterwards to buy. Like, I'm sure that the non-Leviathan version of this book, will probably come out right afterwards or, within a couple of weeks. But yeah, you don't need that stuff unless you want Space Marines and Tyranids. Another reason, speaking of the book, it's a very lovely book. It's very nice. It has, this is a limited book, like it's only in the Leviathan box. So there will be another book that comes out that will be the 10th edition rules, but it won't say Leviathan on it. It'll have a different cover and probably some different stuff on the insides. The insides are nice, but I'll be honest to you, it is mostly fluff and art. Like, for a really long time, you get to, let's see here, this page here before you actually get to rules. So that's a huge portion of the book right there. That is 200 and, well, there's no page numbers here. Well, that's not helpful. I don't know. This is 192. So almost 200 pages of fluff and story and photos and artwork. Great looking stuff if you're into that. But if you just want the rules got released last week on WarhammerCommunity.com. You can download the 60 pages of these core rules. All the stuff that's here in this book is in that download. You can download it for free and start learning the rules before you even start playing. So you don't need this book. If you need this book, if you are a person who's like, no, it's got to be that version, it's so cool looking, it's got everything that I want, all the cool fluff and the stories and all that jazz, or you're just a book collector, but you don't want Space Marines and Tyranids and all that kind of stuff, just go on eBay. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who buy the box because they want the models and they don't care so much about the book, so they flip it up on eBay and you can pick it up there. Another reason that you don't necessarily need the box, there's no data sheets in there. All of that stuff's going to be available online. Now, the data sheets are the actual rules bits that explain each unit, each model in the game and how much strength they have and toughness and wounds and their movement speed and what kind of weapons they got and all that kind of stuff. I think as I'm filming this on Thursday, I believe the Tyranid data sheets got released, not just the ones in the box, but like all the Tyranids for the entire game. So you'll be able to download, if I had to guess, I'd say Space Marines are probably going to be the next couple of days because it's Tyranids and Space Marines, and then sometime next week they'll start releasing the other ones. But by the end of June, all of them will be released for free. So you'll be able to download these data sheets for all the different models and you have access to all of that. But none of it's in this book and none of it's in the box. So you don't need Leviathan if you're just looking for data sheets and things like that for either your army or for even the Space Marines and Tyranids. Lastly, another reason why you might not necessarily need to get Leviathan if you don't want to, Leviathan does come with 2 combat patrols. It comes with a Space Marine one, and it comes with a Tyranid one. But I have a suspicion. Let's say you really want the Tyranids and you don't like Space Marines, or vice versa, but you don't necessarily want to buy the box just to get one, combat patrol. Like the combat patrol for Space Marines is 12 models. So if you're like, I'm going to buy this entire box just to get these 12 models, seems a little silly, a little bit. If you wait a little while, I suspect within the next 3 months after the launch of this game, there will be 2 new combat patrols, like the other combat patrol boxes out there, and one will have the Space Marines from Leviathan in it, and one will have, not all of the Space Marines, just the 12 models that are in the combat patrol, and the other box will probably have the Leviathan ones. That's probably what they'll be doing. If not, again, I would take a look at eBay. There'll probably be people selling the separate sides. If it turns out these new combat patrols, one for Space Marine and one for the Tyranids, if it turns out that they're not the same models that came out in Leviathan, well, you'll probably still be able to buy them that way. But if you're interested in combat patrol, but just one of those, I wouldn't necessarily buy the box. I'd either wait a little bit, be patient, or, hit up eBay. However, here are a few reasons why you might definitely want to get the Leviathan box when it releases or goes on pre-order like in a couple of days and, releases in a couple of weeks. If you want 2 combat patrols for pretty cheap, then you should buy this box. It makes sense. You got a Space Marine combat patrol in there. You also have yourself a Tyranid combat patrol. So if you and your significant other are thinking about getting into the game, and combat patrol is a great way to get into it, this is a great deal, as long as you're cool with the fact that it's Space Marines versus Tyranids. If you and your, sibling, you and your parent, you and a friend, you and somebody at the shop, you split the box that way, you've got 2 combat patrols. Plus, you've got extra models. So if you've been playing combat patrol for a while and you're like, I think I kind of really want to maybe move towards 1,000 points, you've got more stuff in the box to be able to pull into that's already there, and then you'll be able to go from there. But 2 combat patrols costs, it's 160 times 2, which is 320, by the way. I went to college. $250, which is the rumored price for this box, is considerably cheaper. You're talking savings of $70. So if you're thinking about, or even if you just wanted 2 different combat patrols for yourself and you want to be able to switch back and forth between them, you're saving money if you're, in comparison to 2 combat patrols, by picking up this box. Maybe you're not into combat patrol, but you do want to build towards a 1,000-point army, eventually a 2,000-point army, and you're interested in Space Marines or you're interested in Tyranids, and you also have a friend who's interested in the opposite side of that box, you can then buy this box, split the box. You're looking at what? Rumored price $250. You're paying $125. You can figure out how you're going to handle the book. You and your friend, you guys get that nailed down. It's a great way to start an army. Like I said, if you don't like combat patrol, but you want to go towards 1,000 points, you're going to get pretty, you're going to have some definite headway in getting towards that 1,000 points with the contents of this box. I don't know the exact points yet. None of us really do, but I got to figure even the Space Marine size is getting probably somewhere around, I would think, 600-700 points. They may completely change the way points go forward in the future. I don't know that yet. But this has been a case for years, is that these starter boxes are great to split with a friend. So if you're into Space Marines or you're into Tyranids and you got somebody else who, wants the other side, then it's not a bad idea to head down that road. Lastly, well, let's say you're just really into only one of these armies. You're really into the Space Marines. You really want to do your own chapter or something like that, or maybe you're really into the Tyranids. That's a possibility. You want to go down that road, or maybe you've already got some Tyranids from the past and you want to add to them with these new guys. But you're like, I don't know about these extra models, these Space Marines. I don't know if it's something I want. Well, you might down the road. You might want to hold on to them and then do that. And again, this will be a pretty good price in comparison to buying all this stuff later if it's all separate and stuff like that, and probably not push fit. Some of it maybe, but on the other hand, you also might just buy and use the part you want and then take the rest of it and then put it out on eBay. There's also not a bad reason to do that because there's probably somebody out there who wanted the other part and will buy it. So it's going to save you money if you decide to part it out. And even if you don't and you decide to hold on to it and think about it for a while, you could either then eventually start the other army or, eBay that part out as well. But if $250, which is the rumored price, is right, I think it's going to be a pretty good deal, in comparison to other, Games Workshop prices for sure. And it could definitely either really build upon an army you already have or give you a great place to start. So those are the reasons that I've got for why you might or you might not be interested in buying the new Leviathan box from Games Workshop. I'm pretty sure that other than this version here of the book, right, which is, again, like I said, Leviathan only, everything else in this box will be available again later at some point, either in the 2 new Combat Patrol boxes, which I'm assuming are coming. I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure. One for Space Marines, one for Tyranids, or in some other types of starter type boxes. Like in the past, they had the Recruit box and the Commander box and the such and such, and it was just a lot of the same models that came originally in the Indominus box. So, if you don't want this stuff, or if you don't get it in time or whatever, we don't know what the pre-order situation is going to be like, right? It's been a little sketchy lately. Did they make enough copies of this? I have a suspicion that they have made enough copies of Leviathan, but we will see. Maybe bots will still, snatch them all up within minutes after launch. That's a possibility as well. It's been happening a lot with the Kill Team stuff. Now, as always, I would tell you to reach out to your local store if you're interested, because I bet they'll probably have it even if bots get all of it. But if you're interested, give your local store a call. I hope this helped you decide whether or not you're going to buy this new 10th edition box. Again, it's not a requirement, right, to play 40K. This is a limited edition launch box, and all the rules that you'll need to play 40K are free downloads that are either already available on warhammercommunity.com, or else they will be in the next few weeks. If you're into both of these forces that are in this box, either to start playing Combat Patrol, which I think you should, it's a great thing, with those forces, or even just to start 2 full armies, then this box will probably be a good savings, like I said. But again, you won't miss the boat if you don't buy it. I'm really looking forward to this new edition, and I'm painting furiously on my Space Marine Combat Patrol from Leviathan as we speak. And at the same time, I'm also finishing up my first Combat Patrol, which is Death Watch, on Twitch. So you can expect more Combat Patrol related content mixed in with like my regular stuff here on the channel in the future. Are you going to get this box? What are your thoughts about it? Let me know down below. If you liked the video, hitting the like button below would really help the video, help me, and help the channel as well. Subscribe to see more, and thanks for watching.